Welcome to the Airgun Show. With Squirrel Control very much in the news of late, we're embarking on a cull of our own this week. Plus I'm going to be sharing a delicious and very simple recipe for curried rabbit pasties. But before that, let's get cracking at those greys. It's a cold January morning and I'm kicking off a whole new year of Squirrel Control. Today, I'm out in the woods before the sun's up, in the hope of ambushing a few greedy tree rats as they wake from their slumber and venture out for a morning binge. Early this morning, I had a tip off from the gamekeeper a few days ago to say that the squirrels are hitting a few of the pheasant feeders particularly hard. Now the point of the early start is that now that winter's here, those squirrels have got a very long, cold night to get through with no feed. So it's very likely that the first thing they think of when they rise is getting to those feeders and filling their bellies. Let's see if we can't catch a few out. With a new day breaking in the woods, I know exactly where to head. It's really starting to get light now. Looks like we've got here just in time. This is the main feeder that I'm hoping the squirrels are going to be targeting. But also, just off of the ride, is a fallen branch propped against the tree that I'm hoping the squirrels are going to use as a run to come up and down. On the top of that, I'm just going to sprinkle a handful of peanuts and hopefully stop one or two squirrels there to give me shots. The advantage of that is that when squirrels are feeding on grain under hoppers, they tend to hop about a lot, fidgeting around, refusing to give you a steady shot. Up on the top of that ramp, I'm hoping they're going to be nice and still, present me with a really good, steady shot with the advantage of a good, safe, solid backstop in the shape of the trunk of an ash tree. It's another great advantage of ambushing squirrels at predetermined feeding areas. It means you can pace out your ranges. I know now that any squirrels that are either on the top of the ramp there or by the feed hopper are about 25 metres away, so I know exactly where to aim when shots present themselves. The vigil begins. I've got my trusty Daystate and Hawkscope combo, which will be more than capable of the job at hand. And I'm in head-to-toe camouflage, including a camo neck snood that I can pull up over my face. But today's success hinges on the whims of the squirrels. If they don't show up, it won't matter what gear I'm using. I'll still go home empty-handed. It's been almost an hour, but finally we spot movement. There's a curious squirrel making its way into feed, but right now it's staying partially obscured behind a tree trunk and refusing to offer me the clear view I need to consider taking a shot. As it moves on, I shoulder the rifle, anticipating the first opportunity of the day. But this fidgety grey is suspicious and refuses to settle where I want it to. The lure of a free meal would normally be enough, but it's clearly decided that something is up. That one just wouldn't keep still. I'm not sure what's putting them on edge, but they're really reluctant to freeze to offer me a shot today. Certainly not cooperating like I'd expected them to have been. Squirrels aren't the only fauna moving through the woods this morning. Close encounters with wildlife are among the privileges enjoyed by the air rifle hunter. But for all my wildlife watching, I've still not got anything in the bag. Nonetheless, this row is completely unaware of our presence.
which makes for a great sight as it comes closer still.
Wow, that was an amazing sight. That deer must have been within about 5 or 6 metres of us and was absolutely oblivious. The squirrels might not be cooperating, but I think it pretty much proves that it's not our concealment that's at fault.
With the roe deer moving on, it's back to the chosen quarry for the day. And now I've finally got a squirrel just where I want it. That's the first one down, but unable to see where it dropped, I'm forced to break cover and retrieve this one straight away.
Well, I wouldn't normally want to run in and break cover like that during an ambush because it causes unwanted disturbance when the squirrels have started to venture out. However, that one fell out of sight and I just wanted to make sure that it was cleanly dispatched, which it was with a good solid wallop to the head. So let's see if we can add 1 or 2 more now.
At last, it seems my luck has turned. Another squirrel takes the place of the first, seemingly not bothered by the commotion just minutes earlier. All I need is for it to head around the tree trunk to give me a clear view, and hopefully to drop where I can see it. As the squirrel slips behind the tree, I know I can shoulder the day state without the movement being spotted. The squirrel takes its time, but eventually I've got it where I want it.
Got it.
With that one landing where I can see it, there's no need to break cover. That's what we like to see. And soon, I've got another one in my sights. This one's not heading to the bait as planned, nor to the closest feeder, but it's within range and staying put, so the shot is on. A well-placed pellet adds another squirrel to the tally, and almost immediately another one creeps out towards the same feeder. After a slow start, the waiting game is really starting to pay off. This one's twitchy, but it stands up and gives me a clear shot just beyond the feeder. I'm confident in the Daystate's performance at this range, so I take it.
Well, they really can't resist that grain. Typically, they're targeting a feeder that's further away than the one where I really wanted them, but at least they're still within range.
That's all I've got time for this morning, but it was well worth it. If you can put up with the cold, winter mornings are a prime time to hunt grey squirrels.
Well, that squirrel shoot just about came good in the end, and now it's over to the Airgun Show news.
This is the Airgun Show news, brought to you by the Airgun Centre. The government is putting its weight behind the culling of grey squirrels. it's making funding available for landowners to cull graze on their land in the first national scheme for managing squirrel numbers. There'll also be money available for the neighbouring landowners to cooperate so they can effectively cull grey squirrels together. Greys cause an estimated £10 million worth of damage to British woodlands every year. The new general licences have come into effect, and shooting organisations have urged all pest controllers to read up and make sure they abide by the rules. And the explanatory notes have been rewritten. In Scotland, there's a new amendment that allows SNH to revoke general licence rights where there is evidence to suggest wild bird crime has taken place. Busk has raised concerns that this could allow innocent land managers to be unfairly penalised. The world of airgun shooting is mourning the loss of John Ford, one of the sport's great pioneers. Founder of the world-renowned scope mount business Sportsmatch UK, John also co-designed the groundbreaking GC2 airgun with Gerald Cardew, a rifle that many shooters believe paved the way for the PCP revolution, which changed the face of modern airgun shooting. The Airgun Show passes on its sincere condolences to John's family. South Yorkshire Shooting Club is kicking off the new year with a new pistol competition. The 6-metre pistol challenge is open to all members across the month of January. The course of fire is 4 shots in the top target single-handed and 4 shots in the bottom target double-handed. All members entering the competition get free pistol hire. More information at southyorkshireshootingclub.co.uk. There's a chance to win a hard-hitting 2.5 caliber Hudson Striker 1000S in the February issue of Airgun Shooter magazine, out now. Pick up a copy for an opportunity to get your hands on the pest-busting Turkish Springer in the free-to-enter competition. This month's magazine is packed with airgun and pellet reviews, a roundup of top night vision gear, and action-filled hunting features covering everything from squirrel and feral pigeon control to backyard ratting. And finally, Busk's membership has swelled to a new all-time high. The UK's largest shooting organisation now boasts more than 140,000 members. The organisation said it was delighted to reach this milestone ahead of what is set to be a challenging year for shooting. Chief Executive Richard Alley said, Busk is committed to providing an effective voice for shooting, and with every new member who joins us, that voice is growing stronger. That was the Airgun Show News.
What I'm going to show you today is a recipe for what I call curried rabbit pasties. It's a very simple and very tasty way to make use of any rabbits you've shot if you've had a successful session out with the airgun. I'm going to start by preheating the oven to 180 degrees so it's ready for the pasties to bake at the end. Next up, I'm going to chop the onion, the celery and the mushrooms, and I want those to be quite fine. With that simple prep done, it's in with a decent chunk of butter and then about a tablespoon of curry powder to make a very simple curry paste, and you just melt that in together. And once you've got your paste, it's in with the onions, and they just want to fry very gently for a couple of minutes, just until they soften down. Okay, so the onion's getting quite soft now, so it's in with the celery and the mushroom, and as with the onion, that just wants to fry very gently for a couple of minutes until it's soft. Right, while the vegetables are softening down, I've got the best meat from one decent sized rabbit here, so that's the meat from the saddle and the thighs, and I've chopped that down quite finely. And in here with that, I've got about a tablespoon of flour, and I'm just going to give that a good shake to give the meat an even covering, and that flour will help to thicken the sauce later on when we cook that down. Okay, so that's the rabbit nicely floured, in it goes, and that wants to continue to fry gently for about another 5 minutes or so. Everything's cooked through nicely now, so I'm going in with the peas, the sweet corn, and the stock. That's about a cupful of stock in there, and I'll bring that back up to the boil and let that simmer gently until the sauce starts to thicken. Now's the time to have a quick taste, work out whether you want to add salt and pepper, bearing in mind there's quite a lot of salt in the stock if you use stock cubes. You may also want to add a bit more curry powder if it's not spicy enough for you. That's really good. It's about the consistency I want it now, so I'm going to switch off the hob and just let it cool down, which gives me time for a quick cup of tea before I get the pastry ready. Right, I've given the surface a decent dusting of flour to stop the pastry from sticking, and I won't try and pretend that I make my own puff pastry. I've got the ready-made sheets and I've cut each of those into 3. And all it's a question of doing now is dolloping a serving of the mixture into each piece, then fold it over and crimp it down with a fork to make your pasty. Right, I've got my pasties on a couple of baking trays that have had a good covering of butter to stop them from sticking as they cook. I've whisked up an egg, and what I'm going to do now is give them a quick brushing over with an egg wash just to give them a really nice brown crust. All that's left to do then is to prick the tops to stop them from exploding in the oven. So they've each had a grind of salt and pepper onto the top, and they're ready to go into the oven. And they're going to want to be in there for about 20 to 25 minutes or until they're just a lovely golden brown. And that's going to give me enough time to sort out the mess I've made in the kitchen. Okay, so here's the finished article. Golden brown, nice and crispy, and smelling absolutely delicious, so I can't wait to get stuck in and give it a go. Let's see what it's like. Still piping hot. That's absolutely gorgeous. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you aren't already a member of the BASC, it's time you joined the organisation that works to promote and protect your sport.